Hey group, it's Bit, and I'm back with some more MBTI. Today we're diving back into our introverts, back on the right channel, and we're on the INFP. So let's dig in and see what's up. So the INFP is going to be very much concerned with morals. They're going to be very much concerned with how I feel that we should act. It's going to be about your own personal morals and not the tribe's ethics. Your crown slot is going to be future possibilities and foresight. This is what you're going to use those morals for, is to see future possibilities, things that can happen, not necessarily what will happen, but what can happen, trying to pull in as many options as possible and letting people know how you feel about it. The third I slot is going to be the SI, and that is what has happened in organization for the INFP. This is the child slot. This is what you get defensive over. For the alternate, that's going to be TE. That's going to be other people's rationale, what they think about, what the tribe thinks about. The throat for the INFP is going to be TE. That is going to be what other people think about. It's other people's rationale. You miscommunicate in your throat. And for the alternate, that's going to be SI. That's what has happened in organization. The heart, what really feeds you, what really makes you feel good, what you want to do, is going to be guiding ethics. It's FE, future feelings and ethics. How will people feel about this in the future? Other people feel about this in the future. The solar plexus is what feeds you. That is going to be the NI. It's the best possibility. So if you can actually choose the best possibility, it's going to really feed you in. The sacral is what trips you up. It is what you actively choose the wrong thing for. And for the INFP, that is going to be all the things. The actual physical things. You're going to have a hard time completing tasks. You're going to have a hard time with the physical things. And the alternate, that's going to be TI, and that is using logic. That is your own personal thoughts and making sure that they are consistent with what you actually believe. And finally, we got the base, that is going to be personal thoughts and logic for the INFP. And it will be the new things for the alternate. So, now that we know what they are, how do we integrate these, Pit? What do we do in order to make sure that we are the best people that we can be, knowing what we know? And so we're going to start at the base, because that is where we need to start every single time. You're going to meditate, pray, do all of the things, and intentionally think about this while you're doing that. You're going to sit in your base, and you're going to think as an INFP about your personal thoughts and logic. Now, you're going to think that you're really good at this. You get a lot of energy at the divine slot and in the base slot. And it can be overpowering. You can get stuck. So you're going to have a tendency as an INFP to get stuck in your own thoughts. You're going to have a tendency to get in a logic loop. You're not really logically thinking in a logically consistent manner, but you think you are. And you're going to think that this happened, and then that means that because this happened, that it means this, and this means this, and this means this, and the whole chain is just not quite right. You're missing a lot of the information there. You're getting a lot of information, but you're getting a lot of the wrong information. So you really need to spend some time and think about your own logical consistencies. Do I really think this, yes or no? You're going to have to spend time in your yes-no questions. It's more important for you as a base to spend time there. The base and trickster. Those are the two that really mess you up on a daily basis. And if you can be logically consistent, if you know the why of your own arguments and actually have the data to back them up that you're getting so defensive about, then you're doing the right thing. The chances are, though, is that you're not logically consistent. You're not thinking about these things. You're thinking that you're thinking about them, but instead you're going off of other people's rationale. You are miscommunicating other people's rationale and using that as your logic. You need to stop and think about your logic. When you make a decision, like you do this during meditation, but this is a daily, all-day practice, right? So when you have a decision to make, you need to make sure that you are looking at all the things, because that is your sacral, and that you are logically consistent in your choice. For the alternate, that it's going to, the base is going to be current things. So you're going to have a tendency to not take care of things. You're going to have a tendency to not complete tasks at all, unless you are very intentional in what you're doing. Like if it's very important, of course you're going to be able to do it. But if it's something that you want to do, right, you're still going to be like, yeah, I'll do it later. This is where procrastination is going to live. SE is about exploring new options and finding new things, but it's also about completing tasks and doing the physical things right now. So you're going to have a tendency to not appreciate sports too much. You're going to have a tendency to not be like construction type. You're not going to be trying to build things. Now, the things that you are going to want to do is going to be like be entertained more than anything. You're going to want to see all the opportunities. So you're going to need to stop and actually complete some things. You're going to have to actually like own things that you want to do. Like that's where you start, is what you want to do, so you can get that positive reinforcement in. So find something that you are procrastinating on that you really want to do. You're just like, I'll do it later. I'll do it later. I'll do it later. And do it. Sit down and do it. Work on your manual dexterity if you can. Like pick up a hobby where you actually have to use your hands. That's going to be hard for you because you don't like to do that. You really don't. And so go ahead and get in there. Pick up pottery. It doesn't have to be pretty. It's probably not going to be pretty. Pick up painting. It doesn't have to be pretty. It's probably not going to be pretty. But make sure it's a physical something, right? It doesn't have to be something that you spend a lot of money on. You can draw. You can just spend the time using your physical things in the way that they're meant to be in completing projects. Think about the things that you are missing that you tend to overlook options, right? So you need to think about the options that you are missing as far as things, not ideas. You're really good at finding all the options for ideas. You're not good at finding the options for things. So when you're shopping for a new computer, you just go out and buy what somebody else has told you is the best one. You don't even know if it's really what you need. There's a big difference in a gaming computer and a computer for other things. Like even building a video game and playing a video game really take two different builds. But somebody told you that this was the best computer and you went out and bought this computer. Somebody told you that this was the best whatever and you went out and bought that whatever. Stop doing that. Make sure that it is actually what you really need. Take the time to explore the physical options. That's going to help you more than anything. And that's going to bring us into the sacral. The sacral is trickster energy. This is where you get tripped up. You intentionally choose the wrong things here. And for the INFP, that is going to be SE. You are intentionally choosing the wrong things, which for me as an SE user is like, what? But like you're literally saying, okay, this is the best, but it's really not. Like really, really not. Why did you buy a Nova again? Like, what are you doing with a Gremlin? Like, it's that type of thing. Like, it seems like, yeah, this is not new and novel, and it really tickles that trickster spot. And you're like, all right, jump on it. And when you jump on it, it's the wrong shit. You bought a computer that was for word processing, and you need to build a game. You don't have the RAM for that. You don't have the storage for that. But you thought you were fine because somebody told you that was the best option. And you just jumped on it. And you're literally picking the wrong things. You're literally choosing not to, like, this isn't just procrastination. This is literally choosing not to complete things. Like you're saying, no, I'm done with that. I'm just not gonna do that anymore. And sometimes that's a good thing. Sometimes you really do, like you're wasting your energy on something. But sometimes you just need to complete things because they need to be completed. And for you really have to work on that. If you're not feeling like it's something that you need to be doing, you are out of it. And so that's too bad. Like even if you don't feel like you need to do it, sometimes you need to do it. Sometimes it is important to do things that you don't like to do. So you're going to need to stop and think about it, right? You're going to have to be very intentional in your sacral. And that's not just you, that is everybody. Everybody has to be very intentional in their sacral because this is where you actively choose the wrong thing. And so look at the options. Look at the physical options. Look at the different computers, look at the different TVs, the different cars, the different whatever, and make sure that you're getting the full range of what the actual options are. Don't just jump on something because somebody told you that that's what you need to do. Somebody told you that this is the best, and you believe them, even without doing any research on it at all. So just take the time. Take the time to finish things. Take time to work on your manual dexterity. That's another thing with the SE in the bottom half is you really need to, like an SI in the bottom half needs to work on their organization. An SE in the bottom half needs to work on their physical manipulation. You need to physically manipulate things. Start a project. Do it with your hands. Make sure it's something you feel good about doing. Like you've always wanted to try this thing and you've never done it because other people told you it was a dumb idea. And so you just said, okay. And now you need to go and do that thing. Whatever it was. You want to learn an instrument, pick it up. You're not going to sound good for a minute, but you will get there eventually. Put in the time. Your SI will help you with that. It will help you to organize which keys to do. When you're drawing, it helps you to figure out where to draw the lines and what shading needs to be. Should this be crosshatched or straight lines? What does this need to be? You're going to have a hard time choosing that, so just take the time to make sure you are intentionally choosing that. You need to spend a lot of time in your sacral and your bass. For the alternate, that is going to be TI and logic. So you are actually choosing the wrong logic. And this is another one. I'm like, what? But you're like, well, somebody else told me because the TE child, and man, TE child, that is getting defensive over other people's thoughts. So you're taking in the other people's thoughts and you're like, okay, that's what the options are. And it's the best thing because these people told me that. And so you're actively suppressing your own thoughts. You know that it's not. Somebody tells you to go and buy a gateway computer. Like Gateway's even around anymore. But they tell you to go buy this whatever it is. And it just happens to be the worst thing on the market. Well, you're like, that doesn't sound right. But okay, I'll go do that. Don't. If it's not logically consistent, by your own logic, you don't need to do it. Whatever it is. And that's not just buying things. That is making decisions for your life and your health. That is making decisions for your spouse or whatever. If you're basing it off of your logic, you're choosing the wrong logic. So you have a tendency to just go with the crowd. Well, you need to work on your yes, no questions. You need to stop and think about what you're doing. I've already told you to look at these options, right? Well, when you look at these options, logic check every single option. Every one of them. And make sure that you're picking the yeses when you need yeses. And you're picking the no's when you need no's. Because you really don't. Like, you really do it the other way. And if you're not putting the energy into making sure that you are picking the right thing, you are going to wind up regretting it. So spend the time there and do that. It's going to bring us into the solar plexus. Now, the solar plexus is your stomach area. That's where you get your energy from. That's what feeds you as a soul. And for you, both, that is going to be NI. That is the best possibility. You feel good and are nurtured when you actually pick the best possibility. Your NE crown is looking at all the possibilities. With your solar plexus, gets less energy there. These middle two, or middle four really, don't get a whole lot of energy. It's filtered through the other parts. You get the energy at the top and the bottom, and it filters through each individual until it gets to the middle. And so you're seeing all the possibilities. You're just not narrowing them down well. Well, you're not doing that because you're TI. Like, you aren't logic checking anything. You're just going off of what the tribe tells you. Stop doing that. So when you look at all these possibilities, logic check them. Make sure that your logic is consistent. It's something that you actually believe in. And your morals are right there. Like, you both, your morals are great. So logic check back against your morals. And then after you've made your decision, then bounce it back against the tribe. First, do it for you. First, figure out for you what you think. It's okay to think on your own. It's okay to pick your own possibility. That's another thing you have a tendency to let other people do. You tell them, well, this could happen, this could happen, this could happen, this could happen. what do you think? And they're like, well, I think it's going to be this. And you're like, okay. Now, it may not be that. It may be that, but it may not be that. You're really good at seeing the possibilities. Stop and think about, okay, what's more likely? It's going to be rainy, or we're going to get hit by a meteor. That sounds crazy, and that's intentional. I'm intentionally hyperbolating that, but that is literally what happens. And what you tend to do is like, oh my God, it's a meteor. Right? And so you need to stop. Like other people, somebody else told you, we're going to get hit by a meteor. And you're like, oh my God. And when you're not looking at whether that's actually going to happen, that's way too far down in your stack. So you need to stop and consider these things and be like, okay, that's just not going to happen. Whenever you actually consider all the possibilities through the filter of your morals, then you're going to be able to pick the best one because it's going to line up with where your morals lie. You will become logically consistent by doing that, and that is going to help you more than anything. If you're checking and choosing the right possibilities, then your life is going to get better. You're going to decide for yourself, yes, I need to get healthier. You're going to decide for yourself, yes, I need to quit this habit that is dragging me down. And you're not going to rely on the tribe to come and tell you, hey, you need to stop doing that because it's a bad idea. That automatically makes you healthier, and it's going to feed you. Like you really will get fed by making decisions. I know that sounds crazy to you because you don't like making decisions. You don't like getting firm on these things. You like to leave it a little bit ambiguous. It could go this way, it could go that way. It doesn't really matter. Right? These are also the type of people who tend to be, why can't we all just get along? Because you don't see the possibility, like the very likely possibility that if we got rid of government, it would be madness. You don't see that. You really don't. Somebody else told you one time that we don't need a government. And you're like, okay, stop doing that. Look at whether or not that is actually the most likely thing. If we got rid of government, what most likely would happen is people would go buck-ass wild and start killing people and taking their things. That's what would happen. What holds most people at bay is civilization and the fear of the government's retribution. It sucks to say that, but it's true. This is going to lead us into the heart, and this is what you really want to do with your life. And what you really want to do with your life is to correct the tribe's ethics. Right? You're very much concerned with how people will feel going forward. Oh, well, you're not very much concerned about it. That is what you need to be very much concerned about, is what other people are going to feel. You're very good at choosing your moral path. You're very good at saying, I believe this thing is right. Whatever it is. I'm not telling you what it should be. But if it's against the tribe, you're going to have severe resentment behind that. And you want to correct the tribe. So what you need to do is make sure that you're looking at the options, choosing the best one in a logically consistent way, and then giving it back to the tribe to make them feel better because it really is the best option. And if you are really giving the tribe the best option, you're going to love everything about your life. Right? If you can find a way to give people the best option, you are going to love it. So do that. Figure out how you can actively make someone else feel good. You have a tendency as an INFP to be more concerned with yourself than others. As an alternate, not so much. You really do give it away. But as an INFP, you really want to keep it for yourself. This feeling makes me feel good, so I want to hold on to it. Well, it might make somebody else feel good too. Go ahead and share that. Let them feel good too. Oh, it's really going to feed you. Like the NI feeds your heart or your soul, and it really strengthens everything. But the heart is what you want to do. That is what your love lies at, and is making other people feel good. You may not recognize that because you're very concerned about you, but it really does. Like if you're making other people feel good, then you're going to feel great. But you need to make sure that that's happening by choosing the best possibility. Not the best option. Like not the best thing. You're not going to make people feel good by things, but you're going to make people feel good by ideas. Give them the best idea. Give them morals. Not everybody has the ability to understand their own morals, but you do. You absolutely know why you stand where you stand. So do that. It's going to bring us into the throat. Now, the throat is what you miscommunicate. That is all about the voice coming out, and that is what you miscommunicate. Well, for the INFP, you're going to miscommunicate what other people think. So you're using what other people think in the bottom half of your stack to choose things and to do things. But you're listening to the wrong people. You're listening to the wrong things from the wrong people. Their rationale might be flawed. You need to consider that, because you're not going to get defensive over it. You're going to just misinterpret it. They tell you this, and you're going to be like, oh, you mean this? And no, they didn't. They didn't mean that. You assume that. So stop doing that. Take people at their word. If they tell you something, okay, believe them. I mean, not naively. Like if they tell you, well, if you give me $500, I'll return $5,000 in 2 months. They're lying. But you really will think that they said that they're going to give you $10,000, right? Part of that is you not logically checking it, but part of that is you overvaluing the actual things that are coming, right? The future and current things, which is SE. You're just missing it and getting it wrong and choosing the wrong thing. So you're intentionally investing energy into the wrong people here. Stop doing that. If you're having problems in your life with people, it is okay to not let them be in your life. I'm not telling you to drop everyone and everything at all by any means. But if somebody is consistently choosing to act different than what your morals are, don't hang around them. Period. Yeah, it's going to be extremely bad for you. You're going to feel like shit. If you're hanging around somebody and you don't believe in drinking, right? You're not a drinker. But they are, and they're always drinking. You're not going to feel good being around them. That goes for a multitude of situations. That is not all alcohol. But if somebody is consistently choosing to go against your morals, don't listen to them. Quit misinterpreting them. Quit thinking that they're going to change. They're probably not. You're looking at them and you want them to feel good, so you're playing into that. Stop doing that. For the alternate, this is going to be SI. You are going to miscommunicate what has happened in the past. So that means that you're going to remember the wrong things. And you're going to tell people the wrong things. Back when we were in high school, you remember Bob beat up George? And it's like, no, George actually beat up Bob. You remember things a little bit wrong. And you tend to miscommunicate them even if you get them right, you miscommunicate them. So you just say it wrong, or you just don't get your point across in quite the right way, because you don't have your data in line like it really needs to be to support your argument. Whatever your argument may be, or whatever your choice may be, because that goes for choices too. You're choosing things based on the wrong information in the past. This happened back then, but you don't remember it really happening in the way that it happened. You remember something else. And so you need to stop and consider your actual memories. You need to look at that. You need to look at your organization by all means. Make some lists and actually do the things on them. That's that SISE right there. Actually do the things on them. Make sure that they're logically consistent, that you need to be doing them. But when you are in your SI and you're remembering your past, try to think about other people's feelings and why they may have acted that way. I know that there are some shitty people out there. There really are. But most people are not. They're doing the best that they can with what they have available. So you need to give them the benefit of the doubt on that. Your FI is going to keep you about your feelings, right? And you're going to see what they could have done with the future possibilities, and it's going to make you very upset. It's going to make you push back against other people, and it's going to make you tend to remember things wrong and to not be as organized as you probably should be. Like, everybody needs a degree of organization in their life. If not, it's pure chaos. So it's going to be hard for you. You're going to miscommunicate the organization, right? You're going to miscommunicate You're going to mislabel folders or files. You're going to put things in the wrong spot. It goes in this spot. You know it goes in this spot, but that's way over there. So I'm going to stick it in this spot for right now, and I'll move it later. But you never move it later, ever. Work on moving it later. Work on making sure that your files are labeled correctly. Make sure that you're working on keeping your area clean. Make sure that you are doing the things that you want to do to build your organization, to build what has happened, right? To keep things straight and to know this is what actually happened in this situation. I looked at it like this when I was a child, but now looking back at it, I can see my parents' rationale in that decision and quit being so defensive over that rationale. Which brings us directly into the third eye now. The third eye is your child's life. This is where you get defensive over things. You're going to be very upset, right? If anybody deviates from this, you're going to get mad. You're going to get defensive. And so for the INFP, that is the what has happened. That is the organization. I set up this organization, these files, like you have these files in the right spot. You have them labeled correctly. But if somebody else puts the wrong paper in this file, you lose your shit. Or if somebody leaves the cup in the wrong spot, you lose your shit. You're like, what are you doing? You need to stop that. Not everybody has that high up in the stack. And so they're probably not doing it intentionally. Probably not doing it intentionally. And so you need to give them some flexibility in that. You really do. You need to be like, okay, this is why I have my system now. You need to make sure that your logic is right, and you need to make sure that you're looking at the options. And if that is correct and you're choosing the best possibility, then you need to explain the rationale behind your stuff. Like, explain to the tribe why your logic is consistent. And if you're doing that, and they still continue to misorganize things, that is them not caring about your feelings, and that is a problem. You're going to have a tendency to want to hang around anyway. But if your partner is intentionally choosing to leave things out of place, despite the fact that you have communicated openly and honestly about it, then you need to consider another partnership. That's not ever to tell somebody you need to drop your spouse, unless it is abusive, in which case you do need to drop your spouse. But everybody needs a little bit of flexibility. And so you're good at flexing. You really are. You just need to make sure that you're flexing around the right people, and like you're good at organizing. You're good at remembering the past things, probably a little bit too good at it sometimes. And you get defensive, like, no, he wasn't wearing a blue shirt in 1982. He was wearing a red shirt. Like, that makes a bit of difference, but you remember that vividly. You're like, no. He had them glitter shoelaces on his shoes. It wasn't blue ones. Like, that level of detail really gets stuck, and you really get defensive over it. If somebody misremembers something, you're going to have a problem with that. A big one. And so you need to stop. Like, you need to quit being so in your emotions. That goes into your feelings, right? Your FI in your crown slide can be overpowering. We're going to get to that in just a minute, but you really need to stop sitting in your emotions so much. You need to quit being so pissy. Like, you have a tendency that if things do not go according to your plan, like your plan, you're mad about it. I saw this coming out this way and it didn't, and I'm mad. Well, that's because you didn't NI and you didn't TI and you missed all the SE. So you really need to stop being in your emotions about it and actually look at it through the lens of logic. The third eye for the alternate is going to be other people's thoughts. You are going to get defensive over other people's thoughts. The TE child is the trust the science people. They are very much, like, not as much as the SI. If you got SI divine and TE third eye, then you are very, no, you cannot have an argument against this already settled thing. But you're going to get very defensive when somebody pushes back against what the tribe thinks. If this person with these letters behind their names is telling you something, you need to put weight on that, whether or not it is logically consistent. You're choosing the wrong logic, remember? And so you need to stop and consider the actual, like, whether or not the tribe is actually correct. Like, you know your morals, but you have a tendency to push them under for other people, right? And so stop doing that altogether. Like, you're going to be very good at standing in your morals. You are not going to violate your morals at all. But you let other people slide when they do, right? This goes back to the drinking situation. Like, you don't believe in drinking. You're moral in your drinking. And that's not to say that you can't drink. I'm never going to tell you can't do anything except hurt other people and aggress on other people. But you believe that drinking is a bad thing. But you let these people continue to drink because they've told you that that's what they need to feel better. Boy, that ain't no narcissism there. I need this to be able to get through the day. I need that, like, there are legitimate reasons. Like, if you have pain and you're taking a pain medication, then yeah. But if you're taking the pain medication and you're just, no. And there is a difference in morality in using a medication correctly and using a medication off label, right? So you need to quit letting people slide around you. You need to correct their ethics. They need to understand. Like, I'm not telling you to browbeat somebody and hit them in the head with the Bible or anything, but they do need to understand where their rationale is wrong. And you're good at pushing back against the rationale, but you're probably pushing back against the wrong one. You're trusting entirely too much in what other people have said makes this a valid idea. A PhD only means that you spent money. In this day and age, it really doesn't mean a whole lot. There's not a whole lot of PhDs out there with logical consistency these days. They're out there pushing the wrong shit. They really are. And so you need to quit listening to them so readily. You need to quit defending them so readily. Now, that is not to say that if someone is logically correct and has all the facts and the actual research and the actual research and it is actually true, then you need to support those. That's the ones to get defensive over. The people who have actually spent the time, not necessarily in a college, almost certainly not in a college. Colleges these days are indoctrination centers, and you as a TE third eye really need to hear this more than anyone. They are not teaching people how to think in these universities at all. They are teaching them what to think. They are teaching them that science is settled. Science is never settled. There's no settling almost anything. Right? We don't have definite on anything. And so you really need to quit acting like we do. Just because we have a whole university system that supports the current model of the Big Bang. And here's where I'm going to piss some people off. That's not how it worked. If you look at, like, I'm going to hit you in your TE child real quick. Like, we have this model where the Big Bang happened and everything came out of the single point of nothingness, right? But it's just constantly expanding, and then there's the whole thing. And there is movement, there is growth, there is expansion. We even came from a point, but it was not from a nothingness point. It's the respawning of the toroid. So life is actually based off of energy. We live in an electric universe based off of plasma physics. It is not based off of gravitronics and the way that we currently understand gravity to work. There are no black holes. That's true. There is points of return and points of emanation, and that is what we are looking at it as a black hole. But everything gets sucked in and we're all going to collapse into a... No. That's not how it works. Energy cannot be created nor destroyed. And so, therefore, it cannot go into a black hole. It has to recycle somewheres. That's how that works. And so, as a TE third eye, I just pissed you off. How dare you go against what everybody in the university is saying? Well, guess what? They're being taught what to think, not how to think, and they're not even considering the possibility that there is another option. And that is just one facet of science. The way science works these days is whatever gets funding is right, and that's wrong. So spend the time to fact check and logic check and consistency check the tribe's TE, because their rationale can be right, but it can be wrong too. And if it is wrong, it's up to you to correct things. Now, not as much as not as much as the TE heart, right? The TE heart is really wanting to do that, and a crown is actually literally responsible for that. But your job is to bring in the possibilities and to make sure that it is ethical. So take the time to do that. Fact check it back against your NE and your FE. Then you will really grow in your rationale, what the other people are thinking. It's going to bring us into the crown. The crown is what you feel responsible for. Like, you receive the information from the divine and you use the crown to do it. And so for you, both, that is going to be the future possibilities. Now, once you get into the crown of the divine, things get really simple. It's really easy to fix these two because you've already worked on the other 6. And the other 6 are really where your problems lie. You do these two very well without thinking about it if the other stuff is right. So if you are actually getting the things, you can see what can come from that. Right? Somebody brings you the things and they're like, hey, look at this brand new thing. And you're like, oh, wow, we can use that for this and this and this. That is what you do. You're like, okay, these are the possibilities. Evolutionarily, you are the trouble seers. Like, you're the people that bring attention. Hey, we probably don't need to go over here. That water's bubbling. There could be something bad. It might be gases. It might be heat. It might be about to explode. You're the people that see the danger. And so what you are seeing in the danger, you're trying to give back to the tribe. And you're trying to communicate, I am responsible for making sure that you see this. Now, you have a tendency where a TI right here would be more concerned about making sure that you're seeing the future consistently. You're an FI. And so you are concerned about whether or not these things are going to break against morals. That is another part of your evolutionary purpose, is to make sure that the morals are correct, because as a FI divine, you're getting your morals directly from the source. And you know, like, as long as you're logic checking it, like 90+% of the time, you're going to be correct in your morals. Like, where you stand is going to be right. But that less than 10% is really going to bite you. So you need to just take the time on these two. Like FI and NE both, you're going to need to take the time to make sure you're logically consistent and actually looking at the actual things. You're going to have a tendency to skip the things. You're going to have a tendency to skip the logic. So you have to put that into there. Make sure that your feelings are what you really should be feeling from this. Make sure that the possibilities are what can actually come out of this. Now, you have a tendency to see these possibilities, and these possibilities are what is most likely going to happen, but you're filtering it through your morals. So there can be other outcomes that you really don't see. The NE slide, the crown slide, is going to be the 70% reception range. So 70+% of the time you're actually going to be right in seeing the possibilities, but you miss 30% of the possibilities. And so you need to take time to look at the things and make sure that you are considering the correct possibilities. You're going to need to take the time to logic check them. The divine slot is what you receive directly from source. That is what you stand firm in. That you do that without error most of the time. Most of the time, 90+% of the time. But that little bit can really get you. If your morals are not correct, like, by your own standard. I'm not telling you that you can't drink. I'm not telling you that you can't smoke or dance or be whatever, do whatever. Like, I'm not telling you that. It has to be for you and where your morals lie. But if you can be morally consistent, it will help you with your responsibility to the tribe. You're going to quit bringing them the option, right? Because that's what you're doing. You're giving them this option. And when you're wrong in your morals and you're giving them the option, then you are giving them an immoral option. You're telling them, yeah, just go ahead and kill all those people. It'll be all right. We'll be better in the other side. Everybody's already told me that if we kill off half the population of the earth, then the climate's going to get better. No, your morals are wrong. You are morally choosing the wrong thing. That is a blatant explanation of taking the TI child or the TI throat and miscommunication and just getting it wrong and doing the wrong thing and choosing the wrong path. So stop and consider the morals. Make sure, like most of the time, you don't even have to spend a lot of time in it. But you do need to take the time to consider it, regardless of whether you do it well or not. All right, so that's going to bring us to what you should do as a living, right? So if you're looking for choosing the best possibilities, it's going to feed your soul. And then FE is what you really want to do, is correcting ethics. So this is going to be another one. Like, the IFs are really good for pastoral, like being a pastor or a spiritual guider or a meditative, like that type of situation. Helping people to correct their ethics back against your morals using the possibilities, right? So find the best possible thing or best possible idea for people and give it to them. If you can find a spot where you like to do that, like it is literally like human resources would be a good spot for you because you're good at judging character for the most part, as long as it's not somebody you've considered part of your tribe before you checked their character. You're really good at doing that. If, well, this person seems a little bit shady, let's not put much trust in them. It may be okay to help develop them, but I'm not going to give them the keys to the office yet. And also like career counseling, where somebody is in this and they don't know what to do to proceed, or they're not sure about whether or not this is an ethical thing. This would be a good HR type thing. And they're like, they come to you to find out whether or not the ethics fit. Well, you know where the morals lie. So you know where the ethics should be. And so you can help course correct humanity. That is one of your purposes in life, is to help course correct the tribe using your morals, because your morals are almost always impeccable. So make sure that you're doing that. As far as a partner, if you're looking for someone to help satisfy who you are, you need to make sure that you're choosing someone who has in the top 4 slots what's in your Trickster slot. So for the INFP, that is going to be SE, and for the alternate, that's going to be TI. You need somebody to help build up your defensive spot, or you're actively choosing the wrong thing. Well, you need to make sure that you're getting defensive over them, over that. Like, if you're an SE in your sacral, then they need to have SE in the top 4. It's even better if it's in the third eye slot, because that is a direct correlation and it's a direct bolstering. It's the same, like divine and heart, crown and solar plexus, third eye and sacral, throat and base. But the sacral is the trickster energy, but it's also the sexual energy. That is where your sexuality really resides. And in order to be fulfilled in that with a partner, you need a partner who is building that up in you. And if you can find a partner who is doing that, then you're great. Now, that is not to say that you can only date that specific type of person, ever. You can have a relationship with someone who is exactly the same as you, but it will not end well most of the time. You get defensive over the same things. You misunderstand the same things. You don't do the same things. And so those things don't get done. Those things get misunderstood. And it's just not going to work out well most of the time. You can put in the extra effort and make it work, but it's going to be really hard. So just try to find somebody who's more compatible, somebody that fills in the gaps for what you are lacking. And for you, that is going to be SENTI. All right, so we got another one down. Hopefully, I brought a little bit of enlightenment and not too much confusion to a not too difficult topic. Like, once you understand the basics of this, and there will be a thingy over here that you can click on, and it'll take you back to the basics. And so, once you understand the basics in this, it really will change your life. It really will help you to figure out where you need to change your life, because that is the important part. That is what we're trying to do here. I am trying to help you understand you, to fix you in the way that you want to be fixed. I'm not trying to change anything about you that you don't want to change about yourself, but I am trying to give you the tools to use. I am trying to help you with your SETI here. So hopefully I brought a little bit of help. To the crew, thanks for hanging out. I appreciate every single minute that you are here with me. I am praying for you every single day. Until next time, I love you. This has been Pitt. Peace.